Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we're talking ranked choice voting with Dr. Sondra Cosgrove, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
It's the 15 million points giveaways at the Carson Valley Inn.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot clothing store and a whole lot more. For the cold days ahead, jackets, hoodies, flannel shirts, insulated bib overalls, thermal underwear, beanies, and merino wool socks. Big R. Hardware, clothing, and a whole lot more.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the heat back on today. Call us today and we'll fix it today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why freeze for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your furnace fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you. But we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to welcome to the program Sondra Cosgrove. She is a doctor and history professor at the College of Southern Nevada and UNLV. Absolute pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you so much. I am happy to be here.
Well, great. Well, let's start out with the big topic off the top, which is ranked choice voting. So I'm presuming that both of us want to see as many people as possible being able to vote. Is that correct?
Yes.
And not everybody feels that way, but I certainly do, and I feel that you do too.
Yes.
And one of the things that concerns me is we already have trouble getting people to the polls, especially for primaries, and even more so for caucuses, which we can get to a little later. But you know, I just get the feeling that this is going to be problematic for people, not necessarily at the top of the tickets where people may be prepared to make 4 or 5 choices, but as you go further down the ticket, which a lot of people ignore already, that we're going to see even less involvement there. But I guess let's start out, for those that are not aware or don't understand what ranked choice voting is, please simply explain what it is.
Sure. And I want to make it mention as I explain this, that our bottom down the ballot races are already open primary in most cases. The mayor, city council, the judges, we already are doing open primary top 2. So those we're not asking to change for ballot question 3. It's the top of the ticket. And we're just saying, make top of the ticket mirror what we're already doing at the bottom. And so we see, like in the mayor's race down here in Las Vegas, lots of people have put their name in, and we're not telling voters, like we're doing in the presidential preference primary, you can't vote. And so to me, I'm worried about the same thing that you are, that people are being told you can't vote. Nonpartisan voters are being told you can't vote in the presidential preference primary. I want them to participate. I don't want them shut out. And so I think you and I would like to see, like in the open primary part of ballot question 3, more people running, the party's not gatekeeping and trying to do a caucus and say you can't get delegates, just let people decide. And then let's have 5 candidates move forward. so that we have more ideas and people can identify with somebody that's still talking about their issues and moving forward. But if you do that, so that people are still engaged and not dropping off when the primary is over, then you run the risk of electing somebody with 21% of the vote if you've got 5 people on the ballot. That's where ranked choice voting comes in, to force the election into an instant runoff if nobody gets a majority of the votes. And so all we're doing is doing an instant runoff. So when you get to the general election and you've got your 5 candidates, those candidates are going to have talked to you because they're going to be chasing after your second choice vote and your third choice vote. So you might look at your ballot and say, nope, I still only like one candidate. I'm just going to pick one. That's what you can do that. Ballot question 3 says pick up to 5. So you can just vote exactly how you do right now, pick one and be done. But we're saying that if the election does not produce someone that has 50% plus 1, a majority, a consensus of the people who voted, then that election ends and we go into an instant runoff. If you want to participate in the instant runoff, which is a choice, I mean, we don't force people to vote, right now. You can pick none of these candidates if you want to right now. Then you would say, okay, if my first choice, the person I loved in my heart, wasn't everybody else's first choice, and they are the last person, they have the fewest number of votes, and it's going to go into an instant runoff, and my candidate drops off, please take my vote and move it into the next election cycle to my second choice, so that I don't end up getting disenfranchised if it goes into that instant runoff. But we're not forcing anybody to do that. We're not saying there's going to be a nanny state that says, Sam, you have to participate in the instant runoff. We're just giving you the option. And if you want to, you can participate in it. And so if you go into that instant runoff, the voter with the candidate with the least number of votes drops down. They look to see how their voters voted. If they picked a second choice, that second choice vote just moved to the second choice candidate, and you run the election again. And you do that in rounds of instant runoff until you get to somebody with a majority.
All right. So if this were another point in time where elections weren't being questioned already to a dramatic extent, and that the lack of confidence in the election process, it is its lowest level in my lifetime, I think, then it just seems to me that we are going forward with this and we're putting it in the Constitution. And that means that if people don't like it, it's going to take a long time to change it, that we are making things worse for the population at large.
And that's a good point. No one's happy with the current system right now. I have not talked to one person that said, I think the way we're doing things right now is awesome, that we're producing the best outcomes, that the process is something that people want to engage in. I'm hearing from a lot of people, I'm not even going to vote this election cycle because I have no choice. It seems like the parties are just mucking things up. It seems like there's all this negativity. So no one's happy with the way the system is right now. We need to do something different. We came together, the group that supports ballot question 3, and said, we think this is a better way. Other people could support a different way of changing the system. But we need to do something because our system is not producing good outcomes right now. And one of those bad outcomes is people are not voting. What we need to do is just make sure that voters have the education, have the materials in front of them to learn the new system. I'm sure you are aware, just like I'm aware, that we're doing a presidential preference primary, brand new system that we're implementing this time, instead of the party-run caucuses, even though the Republicans are kind of doing that. And do you know what I see every single day when I turn my TV on or I look at the news? I see good-hearted reporters like yourself helping people to understand how the system is going to work. So Secretary of State's office is sending out information, my elections department at the county level sending out information, and reporters are reporting every single day. This is what you're going to need to do when you participate in the presidential preference primary. I have faith in Nevadans that if Nevadans want to adopt this new way of doing things to get better outcomes, that we will support each other in learning how the system works.
Okay, I don't disagree with you that people that want to try this and support it are going to take the time to figure this out and make it work. But you and I both know that in elections, the majority of people who vote have already made their decision well in advance of the election. And that all that money that's spent on all those commercials is aimed at perhaps 5% of the electorate who potentially on election day are going, gee, you know, it's election day today. I think I'm going to go vote. I wonder who I should vote for. That's where all that money is going. So I don't know that, you know, people are paying attention in great detail to all of those sources, which are totally legitimate. And by the way, I'm a talk show host. I'm not going to put myself down as a reporter. We have wonderful reporters.
I think you are. I mean, you help a lot of people.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But my bottom line is that when people turn on the news these days, it's either for company, because everybody's left the house. They want to know what the weather's going to be that day, because they haven't checked on their phone yet. And they're not really paying attention to a whole lot of the things that are in any kind of detail. And so I think what you're looking at is mass confusion. For example, look at what's going on within the Republican Party voters who are looking at primary versus caucus and really have no idea what's going on. They have been very concerned about people stealing elections, and yet to an extent there are some that say that's exactly what's going on with the election potentially being stolen in favor of Donald Trump. So it's just, this time seems to be a really bad time to add in any more confusion. So here, let me present my idea, because you're looking for ideas. Open primaries. That's fine with me. Have anybody who wants to vote be able to vote, so we can get all the independents, all the people who are affiliated with other groups that aren't Republicans, Democrats, they all get to vote in the primaries, and then we have a winner. Right now, people are freaked out of how long it takes to get the results.
Right. But that's because we have the law that says we have to wait 10 days for the mail-in ballots to come in.
Right.
What you see, because Alaska has the same law. And so when they ran the elections in 2022, which are almost exactly like we're proposing in ballot question 3, they waited the 10 days for all the mail-in ballots to come in. And then if you go to their elections department YouTube channel, they actually recorded themselves. It was live streamed, now it's recorded, running the races that had ranked choice voting. If an election has 50% plus one, there's nothing, they're done. That person wins. It took them 31 minutes to run all of their elections, even the ones that needed to have a tabulation for ranked choice voting. And you could watch it in real time as it happened.
All right, so now I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. You have a lot of people in the state of Nevada these days who are saying, we don't trust the voting machines because of what happened in the last election cycle, which of course, at this point legally has been proven that nothing happened, and we have had Republican and Democratic secretaries of state say across the nation that this was a totally good election, no problems with it, or minor problems. And you know, at this point in time, people are just not comfortable with what's going on. They don't trust the system.
So then it's incumbent upon us to have a conversation about voter education, about engaging with voters. And you know, that's what I do almost on a full-time basis when I'm not in the classroom, because that's how you know who I am. And Nevada's not that big of a state. And now that we have Zoom, and I mean, I have people all around the state that I do Zooms meeting with to explain how things work. It's not in a small state like Nevada, I don't think it's going to be that hard if we do a concerted effort to do voter education and to have conversations. But I think right now, we just haven't done a good enough job on explaining the mail-in voting process. I mean, in the last election cycle in 2022, over 10,000 ballots had some type of mistake, like somebody didn't sign the back of the envelope. And because they didn't have contact information on file, they didn't go in and cure their ballot. And so those ballots were not counted. And so we already have a problem with voter education. I think now is the time to make a commitment to talk about ideas and how to fix things, and really make a commitment on voter education. Because like you, I worry about that a lot.
All right, so don't we need to start that in grade school?
We should, but I'm in higher education.
I'm not kidding. I mean,
no, I agree with you.
People have a hard time going through a turnstile with a ticket these days if it's not loaded on their phone. And I don't mean to be rude to anybody. I mean, especially as people get older and new technologies, we're all having difficulty. We're all grateful if we have kids and grandkids who can help us navigate our technology. But it just seems that We need to educate people younger and younger because, you know, newspaper circulation continues to go down, even though the online may be going up, but the content, the amount of content is going down. Television news, the numbers are going down for. So, you know, we're left with Facebook, Twitter, etc. These are not good sources of information.
Well, I mean, a lot of the news sources, a lot of reporters now have TikTok accounts, have Instagram accounts. I mean, I get a lot of what I see on PBS and NPR on Instagram because they have their stories there. And so reliable news sources have migrated over. But I agree with you. We need to bring civics education back, starting at the very second grade and up. But unfortunately, what we've done over time is we've replaced things like civics and home ec and shop with just what we consider to be workforce training. And it's having a detrimental impact. I mean, I get students in my history classes that don't know basic American history. I'm worried about that too, and we need to reverse that.
All right, let's take a break. More with Dr. Sondra Cosgrove, history professor at the College of Southern Nevada and UNLV after this timeout.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org. Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Find your fortune during the $150,000 Lucky Fortune giveaways at Tamarack Casino. Cash and free play giveaways every Thursday and Saturday, including $5,000 cash guaranteed and $40,000 in grand finale giveaways. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Dr. Sondra Cosgrove. She is a history professor at the College of Southern Nevada and also at UNLV. We're talking about ranked choice voting. And you, in the break, were talking about one of your biggest concerns. Please share that.
Sure. So I hear from my students, they come up to me and they'll say, Professor Cosgrove, I don't want to be the stereotypical young voter that's apathetic. I know that's how people think about us. That's not me. And they're very concerned about issues. They are very, very concerned about any issue that's impacting their life. They're not as concerned about political parties and that type of stuff right now. And they might, as they grow older, want to join a political party. But right now, they're more concerned about issues and they're not hearing about issues. And they'll say to me, it is so hard to stay engaged. All the negativity, all the yelling, they slander each other. I never hear about my issues. And they'll say, I guess I just won't vote. That terrifies me. I am so afraid that Gen Z is just going to become a generation of non-voters. The ranked choice voting to them makes sense because they do this type of stuff online all the time. Rank your favorite singer, rank your favorite band. To them, it makes sense and it feels right. And so I think there's kind of a generational divide a little bit, but I think we all agree our democracy is in peril right now. And the last thing we can afford is having young voters tap out and not vote.
Well, no, I would totally agree with you on that. And I would disagree to an extent to say that our democracy is in peril. I know that's a very popular thing amongst the media and talking heads to be able to say that. But I think that if you look at the aftermath of January 6th, for example, you see that the system actually worked. A lot of people are in court, a lot of people are going to jail. We had failures within our system in some places, and those are being rectified. I think that's part of how democracy does work. I mean, we have survived a lot of things.
Yes.
We survived a civil war, we survived the Pentagon Papers, we've survived lots of things. And I think that even though it's not a smooth transition, I feel comfortable that no matter what, we will survive. I remember Rush Limbaugh saying probably 20 years ago that he didn't care whether it was a Republican or Democrat in power, he would always have a show. And I feel the same way, is that, you know, I am comfortable because of the limits that our Constitution already has, that even if somebody is in some way rogue, that we can survive that 4 years or that 8 years and get to where we need to be because we have the 3 branches of government and everything else that is attended.
Some balances. No, I agree with you. Yes, I agree with you.
But I think that phrase, that our democracy in peril, again scares people and makes people think on both sides of the aisle that they shouldn't be voting.
Yeah, and that's not my intent. But I do think we need to have more conversations like you and I are having about why younger voters aren't turning out, why we're not creating the next generation of confident voters.
But isn't that always true? That we have, you know, young Republicans and young Democrats, et cetera. But I mean, for the most part, it's older people who vote rather than younger people.
That's very true. But I hear more now than I did 10 years ago, younger voters complaining about that the process isn't speaking to them. It's not talking about their issues. It's not giving them a choice of candidates so that they can compare and contrast ideologies. And so, I mean, many of my students support ballot question 3. They're not like, let's light things on fire and just get rid of our democracy. But there are specific complaints that they have in order for them to feel like the democracy is working for them.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Story County is leading Nevada. Home of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, Google, Tesla, Panasonic, and other world-leading companies. Story County provides thousands of tech, advanced manufacturing, and logistics careers for Nevadans. We're diversifying and driving Nevada's economy and generating millions in tax revenue and billions in economic activity across northern Nevada. Story County is leading Nevada's future.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Dr. Sondra Cosgrove. She is a history professor at the College of Southern Nevada and UNLV. She is a supporter of ballot question 3, which is ranked choice voting. You know, one of the things that has come up multiple times over the years is the question of voter ID. And I don't know how people survive without having some form of official ID. I mean, on whatever level you're on. And I am not a huge person in favor of taxes, but I do like targeted taxes, and I will happily pay extra money to make sure that anybody that doesn't have ID can have ID so that they can utilize it not just for voting, but for everything in their life.
Everything else.
I don't understand why there is so much objection that when you go to vote, which is one of the most important things you can do as a citizen, that having an ID isn't something that's required, or at least to be able to show later that you have an ID. I mean, at some point that's there.
Sure. So two answers I have to that. So I'm a certified field registrar with the Clark County Elections Department. And so I go out and do voter registration. That's where we verify that you are eligible to vote. So if you don't have an ID when you register to vote, that's when we look at the your social security number and other things to identify you are who you are and that you're able to vote. So there is a verification at voter registration. Now, I do a lot with mental and behavioral health and homelessness. Those folks who are out on the street who are mentally ill and homeless cannot get social services if they don't have an ID. That is why in the last legislative session, there were 2 bills that passed that said the state will help to get people who are formerly incarcerated an ID or a driver's license. And there was another bill that said anyone under the age of 25 who's homeless or about to be homeless, the state will get them an ID or driver's license. Those 2 bills were unanimously supported. Both sides said we need those folks to be able to participate into society. So I think we're getting closer to this idea that it is feasible for us to get everybody an ID. But I know when you're looking at the older generation, there were people who are still alive today who were born at home and their family said Sam was born today and that was their birth certificate. And so we need to make sure that we're not inadvertently disenfranchising that older generation by saying you have to show a birth certificate and get an ID if you want to have a right to vote.
Right, but I mean, those people who are getting services certainly have to have some kind of identification. Yes. If they go to a hospital, if they get on an a gazillion things. We are out of time, sadly. I am looking forward already to you coming back. You've already offered in a break that we can do a debate on this, yes, and I would love to do that. This is a fascinating topic, and the more we talk about it, the more people are going to learn about it. So I thank you for being here.
And I appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate you too. And we'll be right back after this.
7 at 7 is a newscast built for your smartphone. It's a 7-minute newscast available every weekday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. at lvrj.com. We don't waste your time, and we give you the day's top stories.
We at the RJ have noticed some similarities between us and a certain BTS character, RJ.
Plus the latest in Las Vegas business, weather, health, and entertainment news. 7 at 7 streaming now on your smartphone.
Forget the weather outside, there's a blizzard of points inside the Carson Valley Inn during the 15 million points giveaways. Drawings every Thursday and Saturday, including 4 1 million point winners guaranteed. And don't miss the 2 million point grand prize giveaways. It's the 15 million points giveaways at the Carson Valley Inn.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can catch us online 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com, or you can download the podcast wherever you like to get your podcast. We'll see you on the next broadcast.